It sounds like Tucker Kraft is going to be fine, but the injury scare itself is a reminder how fragile these special seasons can be.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast to iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers, the number one Packers podcast on the internet, and the show for fans who know what happened, they want to know why and how. Thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. If you don't live eternally online, you might have missed it. There was about an hour or so, maybe even less, frankly, where the reporting was Tucker Kraft had an injury, a knee injury. Popped up on the injury report, was limited. It's not thought to be season ending. And then Adam Stenavich, did not exactly pour water on the fire when he said, we'll see. And then it turned out after some scans, after some checks, it was a tweak. He's okay. And I don't have to come on here and tell you about all the ways that Luke Musgrave can recreate some of the things that Tucker Kraft can do in this offense, though that is true, particularly in the vertical game. A lot of the ways that they went after the Commanders, for example, with some of those vertical routes, you could just, regardless of Tucker Kraft's health, you could use Luke Musgrave in those sorts of situations. And having that kind of depth is good, of course. But it is a reminder of how fragile even a season from a great team can be. Injury, continuity issues because of injuries. It is all so fragile. Think of the 2020 Packers. If David Bakhtiari doesn't go down, I'm telling you, they win the Super Bowl. In 2021, if David Bakhtiari is not still hurt, they win the definite. 2020, Tampa beat the brakes off them in the regular season. They faced them in the playoffs, but they're at home. You could make the case Tampa was the better team. In 2021, you cannot make that case. The Packers were the best team in 2021. They would have won that Super Bowl if they had been able to beat San Francisco. I really believe the 49ers were the only team in that postseason that were able to beat the Packers, and they happened to play the Packers. In 2010, by the way, the last time the Packers had a tight end that started the season as effectively as Tucker Kraft has, Jermichael Finley looks like he's going to be the passing offense for the Packers. He tears his ACL, and it's not really until the end of the year that offense fully takes off, and then they ride that wave into 2011, the historic season from Aaron Rodgers, and then they just take off from there over the next decade. This can all turn on a trifle. And I don't say that to be scary or foreboding or ominous or anything like that. I say it as a reminder to all of us, players, coaches, front office people included, that you can't take these opportunities for granted. And this week, in a lot of ways, is the perfect week to have that reminder, because you only get so many chances to be great, to be truly great. This Packers team has the opportunity to be one of those teams. To be one of those teams, they make this historic trade. They have a chance to be a team where we are writing songs about them. And not literally, though, it's the Packer fans. Someone will write a song about it. But we can think of Super Bowl teams where there hasn't been a second conversation about them since they won it. And, those teams can be lost to history. This would not be one of those teams. This team is good enough to win the Super Bowl. They are now, by the way, the favorites in the NFC, officially the favorites in the NFC. Shorter Super Bowl odds than the Eagles now. They were tied. The Packers have passed them now. This has a chance to be one of those seasons. You make the Micah Parsons trade, you get one of the best players in the NFL, and everything comes together. But you have to go out every week and do it. And I, for one, loved Rasheed Walker saying, we feel like we should have been undefeated the last 2 years. That the only reason anyone beat us is because we let ourselves get beat, that we didn't perform the way that we ought to. But if we do perform the way that we can and are capable of, we don't think anybody can beat us. And there, I saw a lot of people peeing their pants over this in the comments. That's the mentality I would want from a team. But this year, this time, it feels different. Because, by the way, they actually have the talent to back this up, but also they've shown it now. They've shown it. And so against a Browns team that is not very good, one way to be locked in is to remind yourselves that these opportunities are fleeting, that these moments are fragile. And when you have the chance to be historic, to be great, to go down in history, you have to grab it. You have to grab it. And that is the opportunity that the Packers have in front of them this season, starting this week. We don't know if Tucker Kraft is going to play. I don't think the Packers winning or losing is really going to depend on if he does play. But it'd be nice to have against the Cowboys. It'd be nice to have against the Bengals. And then in the biggest games, against the best teams, against the Lions in a rematch, against the Ravens, against the Eagles, you're going to need Tucker Kraft. He's a special player. And you do need to get lucky with some of this stuff. That 2010 Packers team, that is the aberration. That team was banged up. A lot of guys hurt over the course of that season. And then even in the Super Bowl, you lose Donald Driver, you lose Charles Woodson. You lost some key pieces in that Super Bowl. And you still found a way to get it done. This team, they have that opportunity in front of them. And they can make sure every single week they are ready to roll by remembering this has special potential. You want to be special. You want to be great. You want to be remembered forever. You want to be immortal. Here's your chance. Go grab it. All right, we've got Jeff Jagodzinski, our pal from the Locked On Packers Squad Show, former Packers offensive coordinator. He joins me next on Locked On Packers. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP. Who delivered? Powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For the Packers, I would say Tucker Kraft delivered in a big way. The touchdown, the big play, the running over guys, the play along the sideline. When the pressure was on, Kraft came through. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance, not a fluke. Kraft is on a streak going back to really the middle of the 2023 season. And just like Tucker Kraft delivered for the Packers, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. And with DoorDash Streaks, you can save every Saturday your order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through 11/18. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The NFL season is here. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little bit more energy on Sundays. The Packers, they opened at 7.5 points. It got up to 9.5 points at one point. Now back in that 7.5 to 8 range. Probably will move again by the time you're listening to this. I don't love it at 9.5. I have it bet at 7.5, and I also bet it at 13.5 just to get the nice odds. I have it at almost 2-1. at 13.5 because I think this could be that kind of game. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Joining me now, former Packers offensive coordinator and one of our three-headed monster over at the Locked On Packers squad show, Jeff Jagodzinski. Jeff, we've been having the most fun. I don't think it's weird that I called you Jeff. I don't think I've said that the whole time I've known you now.
Everybody would say, who are you talking about? It's
Jeff?
never
What
that.
are you talking about?
My mom does, maybe. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't want to be your mom. So let's move on from that part of it. This Packers team, they have that look about them right now. And I want to start with some stuff looking forward. And then I want to circle back to the Commanders piece of this, because all week we talked about on our show, Myles Garrett and the plan to block that guy. You've coached offensive lines. You've been an offensive coordinator. When you're going into a week and there is one guy in particular who can wreck your game, especially someone like this, what is the approach to say, we want to make sure we can do what we want to do, that we can stay within ourselves, but still make sure that guy doesn't like single-handedly beat us?
Right. So there's things, especially like in the pass protection part of it, you can always add an extra blocker, right? You can add a tight end chipping, coming across chipping, the running back chipping. And if he's playing the edge, you can overset it. If you like to say the right tackle, but let's say Belton, he can overset it. What I mean by that is he can, rather than staying like on the inside half, he can go outside because he's got help inside or outside on a chip. So he can be super, super aggressive. Another way in the running game, I don't know, does he demolish the run games like he does the pass? I don't know, but you can check runs away from him. Mm-hmm. and make him run, or you go ahead and check like a naked going away from him, because those ultra great players, they're going to chase. They want to chase things down from behind, and if they do that, now you've got the open edge for just a super keep. And Love's good at that. Getting outside the pocket and just making something happen. But like if he gets out on the pocket and there's no contain because he's chasing it down, I mean, he's going to have some time, even if he just runs it for 6-7 yards, 2nd and 3, right?
Yeah. When you were in the league, who were those guys that you went in going like, because Myles Garrett, I think right now is the guy. Micah Parsons probably 1B. But like, who were those guys where as an offensive coach you're going, I don't know what we're going to do this week against this guy?
Warren Sapp.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what we did in Green Bay, and we did it in Atlanta too when we played down there in Tampa. Do you remember when Warren blew up Chad Clifton? Yeah. I was there. It was the ugliest hit I've ever seen. He could have pulled off, but he didn't. And that he separated his pelvic like muscles. He was it was like
Clifton was lucky he was able to walk, much less play football again.
Right. So that was bad. So what we would do, he was a 3 technique. So he was like a outside shade of the guard. So what we did on our slide protection, we slid everything to Sapp. Okay. So that way the center, if he was covered with a shade, he had the guard helping him. And now the center has the nose guard and he can help out on Sapp. And there's a back there. Okay. So, but we had it. And again, Monty Kiffin was like super sharp, and he didn't figure that out till about the second quarter. And then, and then we just had to play, but Monty was so good. Yeah.
Well, and there's the difference inside versus outside too. Like the Packers are going to line up Micah Parsons everywhere. The Browns will do that. They'll line Myles Garrett at 275, head up over the center, and say, we don't care. We think our best is better than your best, and so the Packers are going to have a plan for that. In terms of when you're playing an opponent like Cleveland, and okay, guys, like if we play a B- game, we should come out of here with a win. How do you keep everyone locked in? How do you keep everyone focused on making sure you are, you are fond of saying playing to the standard? How do you do that as a coach?
Right. So here's the thing, the standard, what is that? I mean, that's the characteristic of your team, right? It's like, hey, we're going to play this no matter who we play. If we're playing St. Rita's, we did it against Detroit. You know where that is. Yeah. We did it against Detroit. We did it against Washington. And it made those teams look average, like super average. And I know we were worried about, the quarterback at Washington and how athletic he was. He was a non-factor. Totally took him out of the game. And that tells you something about the Packer defense right now. So, I mean, there's ways to get your player one-on-one. And we talked about this a little bit, Peter. It's called a bear front, right? Where every offensive lineman is singled up. So there's 5 single blocks, right? And there's no help on that. Now the back can be there in the backfield to help out anybody. But here's the thing about when you have a guy like Parsons, all those other guys are going to eat. They're going to eat, and they're going to have a chance because you know what? One-on-one is the best that you're going to be able to get, the best you're going to get. And I would anticipate them playing some bear front. Just again, what I'm talking about, just every guy's covered up front. And then maybe play a middle linebacker, Cooper, over the top of him and go ahead and blitz him. Now it's going to be Cooper on their back on pass protection. So now you got 5 one-on-ones, 6 one-on-ones. So that's something.
And we've seen the Packers able to just absolutely wreck teams doing that. And certainly in the case of the Lions, a pretty talented offensive line as well. I think sometimes from the outside, it can be hard to get inside the mind of professional coaches, professional players. But it seems to me, Jags, that in my experience in life, when you're doing something well, it makes it fun. And this defense right now, everyone's flying to the football, everyone's making plays. And it just seems like that when you play that way, and Micah Parsons is that way, when your best player plays that way, that sort of energy is infectious. And then it becomes easier from a coach's standpoint, from a player leadership standpoint, to get everyone to play with that sort of energy level. Because when you're doing it, A, it's working. And B, when it's working, it's really fun. It's really fun to kick another team's ass.
Yeah.
And so it's easier then to make the case like, hey guys, wasn't the last 2 weeks really fun? Remember how hard you had to play? Let's go do that again.
Yeah. And again, there's the expectation. And again, when that guy, we talked about it right before or right after he got traded, Parsons got traded. And I said, those great ones pull up everybody else's performance. They just do. And I don't know why, because it's like, well, that's how it's done. And he's showing those guys every day. And I don't know what kind of practice player he is, but those great ones are good practice players, other than Woodson. But all those other guys, the great ones, Reggie White, I remember seeing him. I wasn't there. I came after Reggie, but I remember going to like a summer practice, right? Camp. And he just stood out like going through the bags. It's like, who's that guy? Right? I mean, he was just different. And he pulled everybody up, so
he treated offensive linemen like bags. Like he just had that kind of power.
Here's just a real quick story about him. Sure. He, super Christian guy. Right. And remember James Campen?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Campy, line coach. And Campy was with us, and he was playing at the Saints, and he swore at Reggie. And, he took that super personal, right? Because, he did. He got super offended. So one of the Campy's guys goes, just tell him when you're lining up, just go, hey, Reggie, God bless you. And they kind of pulled off. honest to God, true story. I said, man, those great ones, they make you do things you really don't want to do.
Yeah. So one of the things, the Commanders game that I don't think has been discussed a lot, because winning is the great deodorizer, right, is the 10 penalties. And that was something I thought they were so disciplined week 1. They were way more disciplined than Dan Campbell's team. But when you win as comfortably as the Packers did, it could be papered over. I know for sure Matt LaFleur in those meetings this week is going, guys, we can't do this again. 10 penalties, 77 yards in this game. So how do you convey that message to your players other than we got to cut this out?
Yeah. So the thing is, they did so mmany things well, right? So you always, as a coach, you go, no, we got to fix this. And a lot of times when you win, a lot of stuff gets glossed over, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, we're going to be okay. And until you lose a game, it's like, no, it's not okay now. So Bill Parcells, great Hall of Fame guy,
coach.
And 10 penalties. So he had 3 different things that he said, this is where penalties occur. So like offsides, pre-snap penalties is just a lack of concentration. If you're a defensive lineman, offensive lineman, you already know the snap count, right? It's either going to be on 1 or 2. And the Packers cadence hasn't changed forever. It's color number, set hot. That's it. You'll hear them. Green 19 or green 80, white. And the guys kind of like get their own number. I think Favre's was like blue 88 or something like that, right? But it was always color number. So the first thing is the offsides is lack of concentration. Pre-snap penalties, those have to be avoided at all costs, like lining up offsides. Parsons got one of those, right?
Yeah.
First game, or not lining up correctly. The other one is holding, right? And that's just a lack of position. Because anytime a guy gets beat, is because he's grabbing and he's not in great position.
Yeah.
So that's the holding deal. And the other one that was you can't have is a personal foul. That's just lack of self-control. So those 3 things, that's how Bill talked to his teams. And I'm sure Belichick and all those guys did. Saban, all those guys. I'm sure that they all preach the same thing. But, as a head coach, you have to have a message, and that's something that needed to be fixed. And I saw that they were going to address that, which is going to be good for them, because those things can bite you in the butt at some time. You get like the
Jaden Reed touchdown, you get taken off the board because Anthony Belton is holding. It's one of the best throws I've ever seen Jordan Love make, and it doesn't count.
Great catch too.
More with Coach Jags coming up on Locked On Packers. This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shops you know your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are the places when neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. There's spots pretty close to Lambeau that I bet some of you are familiar with. Uncle Mike's Bake Shop, Frost Giant Games, Smart Cow Yogurt Bar. Guess what? They're powered by Square. These local spots are what makes the neighborhoods feel like home, and so many of them run on Square. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. No, so what I have heard coaches say is you can live with the physical penalties, the holding, you're out of position, you get beat just because you're not fast enough to move your feet well enough, whether you're a corner, whether you're a lineman. But it's the alignment penalties and the composure penalties, as you mentioned. Those are the ones that will just drive coaches nuts. Is that how you?
That's absolutely, because those are non-physical penalties, right? Lining up offsides. Everybody can line up. Just look, right? Got to get off the ball. Yeah. Or same thing, if like say that you're in motion and you start, and you see this a little bit more in the preseason, but like a guy in motion will start getting towards the line of scrimmage.
Start drifting, yeah.
Right. I mean, it just happens, right? So like the first practice ever, it's alignment.
That's a timing thing too, though, with the quarterback. Like I feel like the quarterback has some responsibility there to get the ball snapped on time.
Yeah, he does. But if you're the motion guy, that's your responsibility not to be working upfield. And if you're in motion, you just need to look at if there's another receiver outside, he'll tell you when the ball's getting snapped. And sometimes it's hard to hear when it's so dang loud, right? Yeah. So, but I think those are going to be addressed, and I think you're going to see a lot better from the Packers this week. It has to be. And, the thing is, like when you're playing a lesser team, all those things should be perfect. They should be, right? Because you're better. You're better. And the thing is, you have to be careful as a coach, go like, you guys are better. But if I'm going with the team that's not as good as that I'm playing, it's our standard. I don't care who the hell we're playing. It really doesn't matter, And the best thing is like, I would emphasize like, hey, it's a first road trip. Yep. And there's different things, right? We got to travel. We got to go through security. We got to check into a hotel. We have night meetings. You're eating hotel food and all that. So things are a little bit different, and you're not the favorite son when you're playing on the road. You're just not, right? And in the bigger games, it's us against everybody else. That's the old adage, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of things to talk about with your team.
Yeah, always. I want to see if the Packers can get their running game going. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it this week, but I also know that you learned the old outside zone from the master, Alex Gibbs.
The best.
And so we've seen that became the thing. All of a sudden, everyone is running outside zone in the NFL. And now what we're seeing is this evolution. Now we're seeing some more gap runs, more duo, some of this other stuff. But I don't know. It still seems like a perfectly run outside zone is the best run play in the NFL. Maybe that's just my own personal bias. But like, why do you think we're seeing some of this evolution away from outside zone to some of these other more power-based runs?
Well, I think it depends who you are. What is your personality? What do you want to be? What's your philosophy running the football? When we were in Atlanta, and I brought the outside zone, inside zone stuff from Atlanta to Green Bay with Mike. I mean, and they ran it, and it was Amon Green was our back at the time. He was really good at it. And the thing is, like, when you're talking about outside zone, and as like a fan, you look like, hey, the guy's cutting back. But like his aiming point is at the butt of the tight end, right at the butt of the tight end. And then after 3 steps, he's either going to go ahead and take it outside or he's going to cut up. But the cut is always going to be where the tight end is when you see it. I mean, we'll have to watch film sometime.
Yeah.
But like when that cut is made, it is where that tight end's original position is. And on that block, I mean, he's already 6-7 yards outside.
Right.
But that's the aiming point. And a lot of times what will happen is like the nose guard will be where the tight end ends up. So that's just the stretch. And the whole thing is stretch the front side, cut the back side. Now I know that they slowed down on that on cutting on the back side.
Yep.
I mean, that was Alex Gibbs' forte. And he was a master at it, you know.
Yeah.
But
I think
so everything was
Broncos teams were just unbelievable at it.
Right. And I'll tell you where that running game started. They were with Shanahan.
Yep.
And at the end of the season, they were looking at like scheme evaluation, and the zone play was the only one that didn't have negative yardage runs because you're getting everybody back to the line of scrimmage. And if you look at any of those teams around the NFL, they will be the least amount of negative yardage runs. Now, when you're playing like a gap team and now it becomes single blocks, that's where you can get leakage and guys in the backfield or the center misses a back block or whatever it is. So the Packers are running duo too, Peter, and they're good at it. So the thing is that linebackers,
they've got those big boys inside now. They've moved away from some of those slimmer outside zone kind of style offensive linemen, and it's Anthony Belton, who's 335 pounds.
Right.
You know, and that's probably being generous to him. That's a big dude out there.
Right. So what duo is double teams is what it is. And people on the least way to say it, it's power without pulling a guard. Everybody's gapping, right? And the thing is the back, and Jacobs does a great job at this. The back's aiming point is at the front side linebacker. He can't be right. And if the outside, and that's all his read, and you'll be able to see it on film. And when you're watching the game, I really like that. They're running duo. And it's hard to fit for the defense because the back is going right at the play side linebacker. The play side linebacker's got to do something, right? He's either going to fit it inside or fit it outside. Now, if he fits it inside, it's going to bounce, and we want it to bounce all the way to a corner because they're the worst tacklers. So that's how the philosophy of running the duo play. They don't get paid to tackle, those guys. They don't want to do that, right? They're paid to play man coverage. But their Packers are running duo, and they run a little bit of gap scheme too, you know. But I think they'll get on track this week. I really do.
It's a tough front for Cleveland, but I think, you know, it sounds like Aaron Banks is going to be able to go. I think that's going to be helpful. We'll see Jordan Morgan versus Anthony Belton, who ends up being the right tackle if Zach Tom can't go. So that's going to be a big one. All right, let's end here, Jags. Okay. You were in Green Bay for some late career Brett Favre, some early stage Mike McCarthy, early stage Aaron Rodgers. Give me your best story from about one of those three guys.
No, I got this is perfect. We were in camp. And Favre, you know, there's always a pitch count on. They have a clicker, right? You can only get so many snaps. And he ripped a post route in there during camp. And he turned, and there's a bunch of young quarterbacks. He goes, Jags, let's see if those guys can do any of that. You know, and it's just he was so good. And you know, Favre, the playbook is about like that. It's a New York phone book, right, Peter? And these NFL playbooks. I mean, they're ridiculous how much is in there. So Favre would always have a manager carry his around. And like we'd be in install meetings, and he's heard it so many times. And I was when I was coaching the tight ends, I was up in the back. He always sat in the back, and he did a crossword puzzle. Favre would do a crossword puzzle during installations. And he would go, Jags, table scrap, 3 letters. It's an ORT, O-R-T. And then like a Sapporo sash, right, was an O-B, O-B-I. But he was great. He was so good, but he practiced hard. Favre practiced hard. He didn't take off in practice at all, but he was such a great guy. You'd be sitting at the dining table with him and you would never know. Country as an egg. He'd hold his fork like that. And I go, are we in prison? He goes, it kind of looks like it, doesn't it, Jags? There's just
did he ever get you? I know he was a practical joker. Did he ever get you?
Yeah, he de-pantsed me at practice once.
Oh no!
Pulled my pants down. Good thing I had something underneath them, right? But he'd do it. He did it to Bechtel. He would just do that kind of thing. And I mean, what do you say? You're right in the middle of practice. He yanks your shorts down. So there's so many stories. Peter.
Yeah, I can't think of a better place to end it than that, Jags. I appreciate the time. We will talk to you Sunday after the game. Locked On Packers live after the game. Locked On Packers squad show. You and me, Brandon Snide. I'll see you there, and hopefully a lot of our audience will make the trip with us. Appreciate the time as always.
Thanks, man. Go Pack.
All right, thanks for Jags for joining the show. You can catch him on the Squad Show Wednesdays, 7:15 Lambeau time on the Locked On Packers YouTube page. And then a half an hour after every game, we go Locked On Packers live right after the game, Locked On Packers YouTube page. And then we got the Squad Show. Jags is there with us on that. And we have just a ton of fun. Brandon Snide, for our Locked On Brewers postcast host Locked On Packers Squad Show. I host Locked On Packers after the game, and then I jump on. I get to just be the analyst. I don't have to play traffic cop. I don't have to run the show. I don't have to do anything. Brandon and Jags, they really carry the deal there. I just get to show up and make some jokes and maybe offer a little analysis in there somewhere. So follow me on the social medias. Follow the podcast on the social medias. Subscribe wherever you get podcasts to Locked On Packers. Go subscribe on the YouTube page so you can get those streams. Sign up for notifications to make sure you know when that's happening. And always stay Locked On Packers.